see his teacher either. They could have done this earlier.
I'm sure they have it broken up into segments. Yeah.
At 11:30, they all go inside to watch a concert.
Alright, so we're going to be quick on this stream. Let me grab TikTok. Hey, YouTube. Hey there, YouTube.
Marvin, that one's empty, baby.
Also known as ThemTube. Alright. Let's go grab the TikTok. Dibby dibby dibby, you don't stop. The drink?
That one doesn't open. It's all empty. All done.
Let's see if we can get this phone up there. We got 2 phones. And we are good to go. Hey, Hardwood Bear. It is a beautiful day. And hello, TikTok, by the way. It is a beautiful day here in the sunny south. I am not in my typical setting. I'm going to open the windows because Brady is at vocational Bible school for the week. So we are picking him up at 12 noon. So I'm sitting in the car waiting for him to be ready. Plus, I was doing a lot of fun stuff with, concealed carry permits. And my wife is in the back. You could see her hand flopping around.
Oh, I didn't realize you could see me.
So today we are going to talk a little bit about homeschooling and science. And really we're going to focus on the proper way to teach our children science, because it's not so much just about teaching them all the cool wonders that is science and all the cool things you can do, but it's really about, from a young age, ingraining in their mind that science, what makes it special is the ability to question things and the ability to question science. And there is no such thing as scientific doctrine. And we as a society have gotten to a really sunken place in which there are certain doctrines that we are told you're not allowed to question. And if you're anything like me, you don't want your children to grow up and be one of those people who say, oh, well, I can't think for myself because the television said this. And I mean, we have seen that all over our society, but we as parents could adjust to that. And I think the reason that we see that all over society, the reason we've seen so many people unable to question doctrine is because from the time they are little, they are indoctrinated. Whereas the beauty of the scientific method and questioning and observing and researching and formulating your own hypothesis is stripped out of children, and instead that is replaced with God science with a capital S, where this is what the people in the lab coats have said, and therefore if you can memorize it, if you can repeat it back, well, now you're said to be knowledgeable. But if you go against that, then you fall into a different category. And we've gotten to a point in our society where people are so blinded by that there are actual doctors, there are actual scientists who question some of these overarching narratives, and it doesn't even matter. They are suppressed, right? So how have we gotten to that point? And to me, it's the way that science is taught in schools. So the question is, it's one thing to point out a problem. It's one thing to say, clearly there's a problem here where a large portion of our society is unable to question scientific doctrine. But what is the solution? How do we make sure that the next generation is confident, they're comfortable in their own skin, confident in their discernment, so that they feel comfortable questioning authoritative bodies, even if all of the authoritative bodies around them, the news media, the universities, everyone's telling them you can't question that. How do we make sure that our children grow up and they are confident enough to do so? Sorry, let me clear my throat for a second. And to me, the answer is, from a very young age, we have to focus on the scientific method. Teach children that science is a method and that we question everything. So the assignment I posted today that all of you can see for free on my TikTok channel. The video I posted today is about a very simple science experiment. My wife is ridiculous. A very simple... This is my wife behind me. She's hiding. She's... A very simple science experiment where basically you make a tornado, so to speak, in a jar. And all you need is a mason jar. You take the mason jar, and we're going to talk about how you really teach them the method. You take a mason jar, you fill it with water, you add a teaspoon of vinegar, you add a teaspoon, hey Melissa, you add a teaspoon of dish soap, you seal the mason jar, you take it and you mix it around, you swirl it, and when you do that, it's really cool. You could actually visualize a tornado, right? You could visualize the vortex that takes place in the jar, and it looks like a tornado. The kids love it. It's very cool. Now, for most science experiments, they would say, there you go, you know science. It created a vortex, it created centripetal force, and because of that, you're seeing a tornado, right? But we want to teach the method. So what I would say you should do as a parent is you set up a second jar with the same exact mixture, and once that jar is set up, you never spin it. You don't swirl it, right? And you say, okay, that's your control. Now, if you don't swirl it, does a tornado show up in your jar? And of course the answer is no, right? So now you say, okay, so when you don't swirl the jar, there's no tornado. But with the jar that we swirled, there was a tornado, correct? Yes. All right, so what is your independent variable? And they think about it. Yeah, your independent variable was that you swirled the jar around, right? That's the difference in your test, right? So you have them identify an independent variable. You have them identify the control, which is the jar that they're not swirling in circles. That's not going to make a tornado. And then you say, what is your dependent variable? And the dependent variable that you want them to identify is what happens to the mixture after you apply the swirl, the independent variable. So now you've taught your child to identify the control group, the independent variable, the dependent variable. But we want to stack scientific concepts as we teach them to our children. So the new concept that we introduced this week is a very important one to science: replication, right? A science experiment or science that does not replicate, meaning if you set up a new experiment doing all the same things and you can't get the same result, then it's not sound science, right? So we want to teach our children from a young age the importance of replication and how to test for that. So what we do is first we set up the experiment, we have them make the tornado, and every 10 minutes they redo the test and they see if they get the tornado again and again and again. And then what you do throughout the week is the next day and the next day, you set up the same experiment because it only takes 5 minutes, and you test it out again. And if they continue to get the same results, they can say that their experiment scores high in a replication. They could say, when you set up this experiment, you can get the same results again and again and again. Sound science. So everything we do, is that a cookie?
No, it's a Reese's.
It's a
Rice Krispie.
So everything we do with our children from a young age, especially with science, should be about encouraging them to make their own observations, should be encouraging them to formulate their own hypothesis, should be encouraging them to set up their own experiments, and then teaching them there is something that is the scientific method. We do observations, we do research, we set up experiments with controls, we have independent and dependent variables, we test our experiment, we record our observations, right? Just not what do you think happened, what did you observe with your eyes? Right? What did you see with your eyes? What did you hear with your ears? Does it have a smell, a taste, right? And you guys get it. Not that I'm saying to taste this experiment,
You can taste this.
Disclaimer.
This is so good.
So, it does look delicious. It smells fantastic. So you're having them make their own observations, and then from there, after they make their own observations, you have them examine their results and say, all right, what do we want to what questions do we have after our experiment? Do we have to set up additional experiments to test for other aspects of what is happening, right? So it's all about teaching our children to trust themselves and to trust their discernment. And the more that we do that, the better they'll be at doing that as they get older. So Nicole has a Rice Krispie treat with peanut butter on the top, as you can see on the, well, at least TikTok can see. And YouTube, you're missing out, but Nicole's having a blast.
This is so good.
It does really smell delicious.
Take a bite.
It's ridiculous. All right. So that's really what I wanted to cover today. I'm going to go back and read the comments. I guess I'm going to go back and read the comments. We'll see what the people had to say.
I can't eat this.
They can lose their job and be taken to court if they speak out. Yeah, well, unfortunately, that's what happens. And I've been doing a lot, especially on my classicallearner.com channel. On my classicallearner.com channel, my wife is just in a great mood. I'm just going to let you guys take this in. And there's the peanut butter. Mm-hmm. Yep. Look at this. This is what I have to deal with. Okay. All right. All right. So anyway. Yeah, I've been dealing a lot with, there's a big issue with replication. You have to be careful how you word these things. But there were these 3 professors who sent in a bunch of fake studies. They sent in a bunch of fake studies to see if they could get them published. And they actually got their fake studies published at an 80% rate, which is very concerning for the field of science. Because basically what they found is anything they submitted, as long as it had the right political message, it was good to go, essentially. Right, so you have that. You have climates, situation, gate. I just want to break up the words, but that was a whole thing that I've been reading about, where you really have the institution of science has been very corrupted. So we want to teach our children to see past that. Really? If you aren't in a police station parking lot, all right, we are not in a police station parking lot any longer. We were. We are currently in a church parking lot. So,
To pay for my sins of peeing in the parking
yeah,
lot.
Yes. So, all right, I mean, that's really what I wanted to cover today. Yeah, very happy lady. So, yeah, we have a lot of good things coming. I was very frustrated because I've been trying to make you guys printables for the younger children, and my app was not working today, so I wasted about an hour. I was not happy, but we have a lot of really good things coming. I'm trying to get out as much as possible, and So
life is good.
So life is good.
Life is good.
So yeah, that's really what I wanted to cover today. I didn't really have much on the docket. Yeah, I just wanted to talk about the scientific method and teaching our children right. So I'm going to keep getting out another science experiment each week. And the message that you really want to take home with your children this week is the concept of replication and what that means. And the next concept I'll probably introduce is validity. Does it test for what you think it tests for? Right? I see comments on Instagram. People are talking trash.
Who's talking trash?
They're talking trash. They want me to talk trash back?
Really, on Instagram?
I always take these trolls and I don't answer them in the comments. I answer them on my stories and then let the whole world see their ridiculousness. And then I get like inbox, they're like, screw you! You respond to me on your stories. I'm like, don't talk trash if you don't want, I do have a big microphone. Why wouldn't I use it?
That was good.
Yeah, I mean, the trolls are trash. The trolls are trash. Eric asked me about CERN. I mean, I don't know. I haven't looked too much into CERN. I know I know Gunter will lose his mind if I say I don't buy into CERN. I don't know. I'm suspect on it. I consider it suspect. I know people like get emotional about this stuff, but I find like CERN and the Mandela effect, I don't know. I don't really buy into them, but maybe, CERN, I'm sure they're doing some stuff there, but I don't know. I don't know. I think if they were doing stuff that was really important, it wouldn't be all over the news all the time. You are amazing. You've helped our family so much. Thank you. Really appreciate that. And, we're trying to build something special, so we're going to stay at it. CERN is a money word. You guys can read that word. I probably shouldn't repeat it. Scam like NASA. Okay, yeah, that was more my analysis of what it is. But I know people are like very scared and they're like, they're colliding the particles. What are they going to do? I'm like, they're not going to do anything. All fear. Like, the people that control this world are wizards. I did a video on this. Credit to Owen Benjamin because he put together this vocabulary. But like, you write with spelling, right? Spelling. What do wizards and witches do? They cast spells, right? You write in cursive, right? When they cast spells, they are giving a curse. Spelling, cursive. When you put the words together, they make sentences, like a prison sentence, like a curse sentence, like this fairy tale land will be ice for 100 years, right? Or until a prince kisses a princess, right? You get a sentence from a curse, from spelling, right? You put on your television and you're being programmed. It's television programming. And you turn on the news and they are broadcasting. What do wizards do? They broadcast their spells. So most of the power structures that we see in our society, so much of their power is just based on, can they use the right combinations of words and videos and sounds to make you afraid? And if they make you afraid or make you believe they have more power than they have, then they can get you to do what they want you to do, which is why the Bible, I am sitting in a church, or outside of a church, which is why the Bible says, fear God only 365 times. There's 365 days in a year, and the Bible says fear God only 365 times. There's actually a great verse in a Jay-Z song, and I don't advocate people listening to Jay-Z's. It's terrible influence, terrible culture. Rap music's a joke. It's another control system.
But it has a nice beat.
But in one of his songs, what does he say? He says, if fear, I'm gonna get this wrong, but he says, if fear is your God, then getting you to fear is my only job. If fear is your God, then getting you to fear is my only job. Right? Because then what he's saying is, if fear becomes your God, like we saw over the last 2.5 years, right? Then whoever can put you in that state of fear becomes your God. Right? And so much of what we see in our society is these wizards, these wordsmiths, these people who use their video manipulations and their fake moon landing videos, and people, what do you mean? What do people lose their mind? It takes about an ounce of discernment to realize they didn't land on the moon. Like this much. And like that triggers the shit out of people. But like, they can't even get through the Van Allen belt. And so, it takes that much discernment. And once you see through their manipulations and they create spells around this stuff, then you start to see what it really is. Is the earth flat? Well, I'll tell you this. And this is when you have this talk with people, this is what you have to cut through. Let me ask you, before you ask me if the earth is flat, have you ever seen a picture of the earth? Answer that question. Have you ever seen a picture of the blue marble? Once in your entire life? Well, I'm waiting, but the answer for that is no. And until a person can wrap their head around that, right? Until they could wrap their heads, admitted, you have never in your life seen a picture of Earth. And when you realize that, then you have to start questioning your preconceived notions and say, well, what do I know and what don't I know? They never landed on the moon. You've never seen a picture of the Earth. Now, I don't know what the Earth is, you know. I don't know. I haven't seen it either. But what I would say is there are very compelling arguments for that worldview. What I say is that I live on realm Earth and that I don't fully know what it is. And it could be flat, so to speak. I think that's a psychological operation in itself. But the truth is that the people who are like, oh, I know what it is, you don't even begin to understand the science, right? Can we circle back to you talking about fearing God every day? Well, the Bible says fear God only 365 times. And the message behind that is that if you fear worldly things, then in this fallen realm, the devil will take control of you. He will use that fear to control you. You see it all the time with people who are, they back lies because they're afraid that material wealth will be taken from them. If you speak certain truths, then you're not allowed to speak them any longer. If you're not allowed to work certain jobs, you have your money taken away from you, you have your material taken away from you, which is why the Bible also adamantly says to stay out of debt, that usury is a hard... See, people like who don't really understand the true meaning behind the path of Christ and whatnot, and like their relationship with religion has been corrupted by the corrupt institution that is the institution of Christianity, and it is corrupt, right? But the Bible's telling you to fear God only and to stay out of debt and to avoid usury. Why is it doing that? Because it's telling you this is how you will be controlled, you see? And you can mock that all you want, but until you start living it. I mean, it's to me, if you mock it, you're just like a blind man. You're literally like a blind man who, like, we're both looking in the sky and I'm like, look at that bird. And you're like, Harry Potter's more believable than a bird. I don't know if you were trolling me, but that's what it's like. I mean, Jarl, are you not afraid of anything? Are you the unafraid man? You're like, so fear should drive you to live in a specific way? I look around and everyone I see is terrified, and I'm probably like the only one, you know, minus my community and like the bears and some base people who aren't afraid all the time. Like, you know, over the last 2.5 years, while everyone was like, had their face, you know, that whole situation, and they were like, I can't go see my family, like all those people. You know what I did? I just continued to live my life because I wasn't afraid at all, right? My family, we lived our lives. We weren't afraid at all. You know, all these psychological operations, they're constantly running on the news and everyone's in this fear state. I'm not afraid at all. And the reason for that is because I try to live my life. And it doesn't mean I don't feel fear in the world, but like I try to live my life where I fear God only. And until you realize how liberating that is, until you really wake up and you think, they're like, oh, you're going to die. And you're like, everyone dies. Like, I don't want to die. Like, obviously, like, I want to be here for my children and whatnot. But I do believe where I'm going. And I believe in my Creator. And that doesn't put me in a state of fear. It puts me in a state of extreme confidence in how I live my life. It's why I could speak truth and not worry about social shame. It's why I could come on here and tell you that globe Earth is nonsense. Where so many people will be like, they'll be like, oh my God, you know, this guy, are you a conspiracy theorist? Oh, you're a flat earther? Like, no, like I have more critical thought in my pinky than the majority of the population has in the accumulation of their entire life. And it's not even close. And a large portion of that, a large part of the reason for that is because I live my life as, I say, a God-loving man. And so, you could like mock Christianity and whatnot, but, you're a fool. Yeah, I'm not saying you shouldn't fear anything, Jarl. I mean, you just choose what you want to fear. I'll fear God, and I'll live a biblical life. And you can decide that that's nonsense, and you go fear everything else, right? But I'm gonna roll with God, and we'll see who that works better for. So. No, I see the parallels. I believe that the world it's God's world, and he allows Satan to operate in it. And you better choose who you're fearing. Or you live your life how you want, bro. Like I said, I think you're blind. When you fear eternal damnation when you fear worldly things, your fear is material based, even to the point of your body. That's why I was talking about you get to a point where you're even comfortable with your own death, right? Because the material fear, it's all about, oh my God, what can be taken from me? But the only thing I fear is eternal damnation. And that makes me incredibly powerful in this realm. That gives me incredible strength in this realm. I never said not to fear anything. I said you better be careful of what you choose to fear. And by the way, when you have a society of people that fear eternal damnation, right? When you have a society of people that think twice, like, hey, should I do that? Or is that immoral? Will I be judged for that? Well, then you have a society of people that behave better. Your God is either spiritual or your God is of material. You better choose which one it is. Why is fearing God good? Because God is good. Because God is great. Allah Akbar. God is great. I love my Muslim brothers. They know. They get it. Oh my God, of course. Babe, this guy has a mask on in his profile picture. You're talking to me about fear. Guy, you're afraid of everything. Like, oh my God. Holy. I lived in New York when that whole thing started, and you get all these very fear-driven people. And I moved down south to an area that's very, they fear God only. And no one does that. And objective reality is against your whole scare. You're a walking caricature of what I'm talking about. And I'm not trying to be harsh on you. I'm trying to snap you out of it. I'm trying to help you. Take it off, man. Yeah, the guy in his profile has the thing on, and he's talking to me about fear. Yeah. Come spend a day with me, and you'll be like, you might want to start fearing God, because then your life wouldn't, your profile picture is showing that your life is, you believe in nonsense.
On a side note, I really do like his beard. He has really cool Christmas ornaments from the beard, and I like it.
Foster Bear says it's clown world.
I like it a lot. Tried to get my brother to do that to his beard, and he wouldn't do it. And I was deeply upset by it.
I can hear you and understand what you were saying, but I do not understand why we should ever fear God. Does a person who harms a child, should they fear God? I think they should. Of course you should. Now, I live in God's love, so I don't fear God, I love God. But you know, God is great, and those who are not great here will be judged. As Foster Bear said, it's fearing the wrath of God for those who have not attempted to follow the path of Christ.
You want to pick a new tree?
So we live constantly being tested? Of course. And you're not just being tested. Yeah, you're constantly being tested by, you call it what you want to call it, but you're constantly being tested by, your spiritual nature is being tested, and you're constantly being tested by the devil himself, which is why when you turn on the news and they spew all of their nonsense, right? They're going to get you to believe in a world that does not exist. They're going to get you to think that you can't see your own grandmother, right? And I know people that they haven't left their house in like 2 years, which is just hilarious to me. You know, I just been living my life, but all right. Gunter says adjust the seat back mirror.
I did.
What was
You could see. Watch Aubrey play.
I mean, I got nothing but love for the guy. Like, it's, you know, it's fine. It's his worldview, but actually, I don't even think he's being bad. He's just asking questions. I actually kind of like the guy. He's not like a snowflake troll.
He's not trolling you.
Yeah, I actually think he's alright. I kind of like Jarl Rock. Jarl, you rock. I kind of like you, man.
I just don't think he understands what you're saying. Oh, this is a great fan.
I don't mean to be so aggressive. I just get a lot of troll behavior. I get attacked a lot. Right, fearing God is fearing his judgment if you live an immoral life. We need more people fearing his judgment. No, yeah, Jarl, you're good. I just get attacked by trolls all the time, so I assumed you were being aggressive.
It also takes you a long time to get through comments.
Yeah, I'm also way behind on the comments, so like, yeah. Well, the Bible dictates that you fear God's judgment. So meaning that if you attempt to live a moral life, and it doesn't mean you'll live a perfectly moral life, we're fallen, we're humans, we make mistakes. But as long as you're really attempting to live a moral life, you're attempting to do the right thing, then you don't have to fear that judgment. But if you start doing what is wicked, right, and, you know, then you should fear that judgment. Right, the devil even tried to tempt Jesus. The devil lured Jesus into the desert, paraphrasing here, but he lured Jesus into the desert, and Jesus didn't have food or water, right? And the devil offered him the whole world, right? And Jesus turned it away.
What about composting? You see banana? Can you show me where the banana is? Banana.
We got to get Brady in 2 minutes. No, you shouldn't be good out of fear, but the wicked should fear God. You should be good. You should be good out of love. You should be good out of God's love. Like I said, I don't fear God. I love God. In fact, when do you think you deserve heaven? I think I deserve whatever God gives me. I think I submit to his judgment. And if he reviews my life and decides it was not worthy, then I accept that judgment. And I will not question that judgment. And because I truly love God. And there's power in that. There's a lot of power in that.
Homemade food. Look at this. You see the bird? Is that a little bigger? They go like this.
I mean, are you thinking that I'm a good person because I'm afraid? No, I'm a good person because I'm wrapped in God's love and I know what it is. So it's, it's the opposite of that. In fact, what happens is you get all these moral relativists and then they go straight down Satan's rabbit hole and they're like you'll get Bill Gates and that guy, I'm sure he believes what he's doing is good because it's for the greater good. Yeah. That's what happens when you get outside of morality. And I don't know if you fully understand what Gates is doing, and I'm not going to get into it, but, if your God's not spiritual, your God's material. Anyway, I do got to go, but this has been lots of fun. The revival's happening. It happens every day. I gotta go get my child, girl. I can't keep talking. I literally gotta go. I gotta go. All right, guys, I gotta go. ClassicalLearner.com. Homeschools Connected. Discount code FREEDOM. All lowercase, $10 a month. Freedom isn't free. Gotta earn it every day. And I will be back tomorrow at 9:30 a.m. Eastern to earn that freedom. And, all right.
Bye, guys.
I'm still counting to 10 in my head.
Oh.
I don't have a cup to drink from, but I do have Aubrey's baby here.
It's the car baby.
Baby. And I could show you that in a few seconds. You want your baby doll?
Say, give me, please.
All right, Obs. Get it, girl.
And say thank you. Can you do this sign for thank you?